So I wanted to talk about in this stupid video, basically my experience that I've had with the Galaxy S22 and talk about previous phones I've had compared to them. From so far over the past few weeks I've had the Galaxy S22 because I just have the standard S22, not the Plus or the Ultra. Those are too big and they're overpriced. I am still kind of undecided on whenever the iPhone 14 comes out. Am I getting the 14 Pro or the 14 Pro Max? Because I kind of do want to have a giant screen. Just gonna have this stupid bird talking over me, I guess. Because I do play the most games on my iPhone. Anyway, we're gonna throw hands in 5 seconds, you stupid bird. Anyway, I'm kind of undecided on if I want it because the last time I had the biggest screen that was available, it was the XS Max, which was a 6.5-inch screen. And with the current iPhone, the 13 Pro Max, it's even bigger at 6.7-inch screen. So the screen sizes are expected to be the same with the 14s. So a 6.7-inch screen, I want to get it, but knowing that I've had the iPhone XS Max before, and when the iPhone 11 came out, I ended up getting the standard 11 Pro instead of the Pro Max because it was just too big and too heavy. I was finding because I use my phone for long periods of time, playing video games, watching videos, recording, and it was just a pain in the ass, having to grip it because it was my hand normally would be like this with most regular phones. With the Max iPhone, it was more like this. So I felt like I was straining my hand a little bit more, just trying to hold the damn thing like that. So it's definitely, for sure, a two-handed phone. It's one of those phones where you can't really grip it like that because it's going to be uncomfortable because of how wide it is. This is getting kind of sexual. But no, really, it's something that you have to keep in your palm. You can't really wrap your hand around it. It has to be something that you keep in your palm, and it's definitely something that you need two hands to use comfortably with. So as I was using it a lot, just taking a dump on the toilet and watching videos, recording videos, just doing the same stuff that I normally do, I just noticed that my hands were getting kind of sore and tired more than usual. I normally don't have that problem at all, but for some reason I did with the iPhone XS Max. So that's why I ended up, when the new iPhone 11s came out, I just got the standard 11 Pro because I feel like that is the sweet spot. It's the perfect screen size. The size of the 11 Pro and even the 12 Pro that I have now that has a slightly bigger screen, the 6.1-inch screen. Because the 11 Pro had a 5.8-inch screen, which was pretty much the same size as the original iPhone X. So they didn't change the screen size until the 12s came out. But still, I think that roughly the 6-inch mark for the screen, I feel like is the sweet spot. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's perfect. But at the same time, I still feel like I want to have the biggest screen size available because of how many games I play, how many videos I watch, how much video recording and editing that I do. I do a lot of that on my phone. I've been doing that for years. So it's part of me wants to get the 14 Pro Max, but another part of me is saying maybe don't get the 14 Pro Max, maybe just get the 14 Pro. Because as much as I would love that bigger screen size, it's probably going to be a lot heavier, it's going to be a lot bulkier, it's going to be a pain in the ass. It's just going to be noticeably more irritating to use, especially one-handed. So I'm not really fully decided on that, but that's why I ended up getting the standard S22. Not only because it's cheaper, because Android phones depreciate in value a lot quicker compared to iPhones. So that's why if I'm going to get a top tier phone, I usually just get whatever the most affordable option is. And I'm perfectly fine with this anyway, because I don't want the screen size to be any bigger than that anyway. I remember a few years ago, back when phones still had big bezels on the top and bottom, I think it was called the ZTE Grand X Max or Z Blade Max or something like that. It was only like $100. I think the first one was $100, and then I got another one that had a fingerprint scanner on the back, and the design, even though it was made of plastic, it was still a pretty nice design. I liked it. It had USB-C, 1080p video recording, and the 6-inch 1080p screen was pretty good. I remember having to send that phone back like 3 times because the screen was defective. Like the first time it had like a dead pixel in the screen, because I saw like this little white speck on the top corner of the screen, so I had a dead pixel, so I had to send that back. And I remember another one, the touch sensor was defective because it wouldn't do anything. Like I would try to swipe and it would just keep pressing on stuff and it would just be unresponsive, so I had to send that back. And then finally, after like the 3rd time, I felt like, okay, this one is usable. It's not perfect, but it's usable. I'll just deal with it. But that ZTE phone, I think it was called the Z Blade or Grand X Max. I don't remember. This was back in like 2016 or 2017. But it had a 6-inch screen, but it was huge because it had big bezels on the top and bottom. It wasn't an all-screen phone like this phone is. This phone is all screen. So that's why you can have a 6.1 inch screen on this thing, and you can still use it one-handed pretty much, if you have decent sized hands anyway. But yeah, like having a screen size this big a few years ago, back before phones went entirely all screen and there's no borders, this phone back then would be huge, because the ZTE phone that I had, the bezels on the top and bottom were like this big. And the phone was a lot wider. It was like this much wider compared to this camera that I'm using now. So basically it felt like a small tablet. This phone in comparison, that even has a slightly bigger screen, it just feels like a regular sized phone. Like it's definitely not a small phone, but it doesn't feel like a tablet either. So now, because there's no borders on these phones anymore, they're really pushing the screen size to the absolute limit. They're going to see how big of a screen size they can make. So now with like the iPhone 13 Pro Max with the 6.7 inch screen, and some of these other phones with a 6.8 inch screen, it is pretty much stepping into tablet territory. It really is. Those phones are pretty much like a small tablet, despite the fact it's pretty much all screen, but the phones are so massive that at that point you might as well just get a damn tablet. But the thing is, if you get an actual tablet, those are even bigger. So you can't even put it in your pocket. It's like you might as well just bring your damn laptop. So at the very least, despite the fact that these huge phones, like the Ultra, the iPhone Max, they're so big, but you can still, at the very least, put them in your pocket. You can still carry them around, no problem. It's just bulky. And I feel like the reason behind that, I feel like the reason behind why the last time I had a huge phone like that and I was making a big deal about it is because I had the mindset that this is a phone, not a tablet. If I had a small tablet, I wouldn't have this problem. Because I would expect it to be as big as it is. It's a tablet. So since these phones are very close to being the size of a small tablet, maybe if I changed my mindset to think that this is just a damn tablet, so who cares, maybe I wouldn't mind like holding it for long amounts of time, because people play video games on tablets all the time. They're holding their tablet, playing video games on it for hours on end, and I've never heard of people complaining about their hands getting sore from holding a tablet, and those are way bigger than the biggest phone that you can get. But either way, like as far as the iPhone 14 is concerned, I'm still undecided. It's kind of 50-50. Like, I want the biggest screen, but at the same time, I'm just worried about it being too heavy and just becoming a sore to hold after a while when I'm playing games. So like the only solution to that would be to play games on a desk, or like if I'm in bed, and keep the phone on the desk and just basically hold the phone up, like keep the phone propped up with my hands, but I wouldn't be technically holding it. It would be on the desk, or it'd be on the bed if I'm playing a game before I go to bed or something like that. So maybe I could use that as a workaround. I mean, I already usually do that enough as it is. I'm always just keeping my phone on the table and I'm just propping it up with my fingers while I'm playing it, because usually when I play games on my phone, like a lot of these Grindfest games, like the Wolf Online, for example, I was level 70, which took like 2 or 3 months to get to level 70. And now they increased the max level from 70 to 90. And that's going to take several more months just to get from level 70 to 90. So I'm about to be level 73. It takes forever. So when I play that game, usually for at least 2 or 3 hours at a time, I'm usually having to have my phone propped down on my desk just so it'll take the weight off of my hands so my hands don't get sore. So I might just have to do that, but just more often. I don't know, okay? It is April. We still have about 4 or 5 months to go before they announce the iPhone 14. So what I'm gonna do is, when they come out with the iPhone 14 in a few months, I'm just gonna go to an Apple store, because there's like 3 or 4 Apple stores at least where I live. There's Apple stores everywhere because I'm really close to California, which is where they're headquartered in. So since I'm right next to the neighbor state of Apple headquarters, obviously in this state, there's business everywhere here. So there's Apple stores all over the place. And recently, like, they've been expanding everywhere because I moved out here to get away from the crowdedness. And like a year later, they're just expanding and building everything. Like, there's just warehouses everywhere. If you go like a couple miles south of my neighborhood, it used to be nothing but desert, and now it's just warehouses everywhere. There's Amazon warehouses, Walmart warehouses, just all kinds of warehouses everywhere. There's like 100 warehouses down there now. There used to only be like 3. Like, everyone is coming over to the desert to do business. I'm just kind of wondering why. I never really looked into why is Arizona blowing up with popularity. Why is everyone moving here? Why are all the businesses coming over here? I don't know. It is the hottest state. It's the hottest state in the whole country. Like, why would you want to move here? I only live here because I've never lived anywhere else. I don't even know where else to go. But I'm gonna have to make this into a part 2. So go look for it. See ya, farts.